You are an angel investor as well. So you invest in startups in Africa. So what kind of startups are you mostly passionate about?
When I looked at investing, I was looking at companies that are non-sexy. What do I mean by that? A lot of people in Africa, they want to do fintech or they want to do something that just sounds cool, which is great. Fintech has some of the best returns, but I don't think I have an edge in it. I'm thinking, what does Africa really need? That's how I'm looking at it. Health tech. So healthcare across the continent, we are behind in healthcare, whether it's the state of clinics to whether it's the systems. So healthcare, and we have such a blooming population that we really need to get this right. If hospitals are stressed at this point, imagine how stressed they'll be in 20, 25 years. So healthcare, logistics, the movement of people and goods, logistic tech. So look at how hard it is to commute from one side of Dar es Salaam to another side of Dar es Salaam, right? Think about if you're depending on shipping trucks, creating a new bus company, whatever. If you can't predictably know when your things will arrive or what will happen, that creates stress on your business. So if we can facilitate the movement of goods and people much better, you'll see a balloon in trade. So that's the second thing for me. Third, I used to do this. I don't do as much education tech. I have two ed tech companies. I don't think I'm going to invest in ed tech anymore. But just so we need to improve the education across the board, right? Fourth, what I'm still doing is real estate / construction tech. New people, young people, actually when they get jobs, they're going to want to have a place to live, right? African culture is still okay to live with your parents, but I think eventually it's going to mimic European or US culture where people just want their own space and we don't have enough housing that they want, and they may not have the same taste as their parents, right? So they want something a little that matches more their vibe. So those are the major things I invest in. I really want to get into space tech. I'm not there yet. I don't truly understand it fully, but that's something that I also want to add to my portfolio.
How do you make sure your investment is secure? You being in the US and investing here in Africa.
So typically I don't invest in anything unless I met the founder, know their connections, or have a really strong referral. So a lot of my current investments in Africa comes through referrals or VCs. That means venture capitalists I know, other angels I know, entrepreneurs that I know that refer, hey, this real other entrepreneur, you should talk with them. We just got done doing, right after this, I have a call. We just got done doing a program called Angel Fair Africa. We brought that to New York City, where we brought some of the best startups from Africa to pitch to investors in the US. And that's one of the ways we wanted to introduce more people to invest in Africa. But that's also one of the ways that I get to know more startups and meet them and talk to them and see, okay, this CEO is really, really smart. I remember there was one CEO I invested in last year or a year and a half ago, and I met him in person. This guy's brilliant. I poured more money to him after that. I said, this guy's brilliant. So I think a lot of it is creating that relationship. It's just like with business, it's creating that relationship, having people who can vouch for the person, but you still make mistakes. There's about, I think, a $50,000 investment I made into a startup in Africa, which I'm just upset at myself at now, because I didn't do enough due diligence, and I think that's almost all of it might be gone, just because I didn't really vet the person. And I think really when you're doing that, you have to truly vet the person, know them, know how they're going to perform in good times and bad. And that's also the issues that come with investing. You make business mistakes sometimes, and you learn.
And so far, what's the most profitable investment venture that you've made?
So I'm an angel investor. So angel investors, where I know 50,000 is a lot of money, right? I usually don't, right? That included a follow-on. I usually don't just go out and send $50,000. It's usually whether I start off at 5,000 or 10,000, and then I'll add on to it, or some stuff I start off much larger.
Yeah.
But usually when I'm investing at that, it's a lot of money, but there's people who write $500,000 checks. There's people who write $1 million checks. So really, I'm typically at the beginning stages of the business. When somebody is just about to find product market fit, meaning they're just about to find the right combination to get people to buy their products or services, or they have already found that and they're looking to scale. So at that point in the business, in Africa specifically, it's going to take 10 to 16 years to really receive your investment back. So, and it's locked up.
10 to 15 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So this is not something I recommend for most people, just because the lockup, and it's so risky. It's really 1 out of 10 might do well, right? So that's the issue, and that if they do really well, then they do really, really well. But that there's a huge risk in that. But the best thing I invested in actually was a media company. I usually don't do media companies. So there was a movie coming out, and this company was raising money. And it wasn't even, I invested in it. It wasn't even that I really wanted a return. I just loved the message from the movie, and I thought people needed to see that message.
Yeah.
Right? I thought it's important. It was more of a moral thing for me. And so I put some money, and I just really wanted that message to get out. And it ended up in 3 months later, I got a check, I think, for double or triple my money. And I was like, oh, wow, this is because it's not just the amount, it's the fact in 3 months that came in. I wasn't expecting anything back. It was more so, oh, I want this message out there. I want to support them. And then getting back. So that's for me the best investment. Other than that, it's not startups. I'll say it's my stock portfolio. So that has been doing really well. Thanks to Ian Dunlap. I always shout him out, the master investor. Thanks to him, that has been doing really well.